Festive Jazz Cafe 2020, a program of seasonal words and music brought to you by the Festival of Chichester. I'm Barry Smith, the coordinator of the Summer Arts Festival, which is grounded in the Chichester community, but brings over 200 exciting events across the city, including visiting celebrities and stars. Each December, we gather in lovely St. John's Chapel to put on an exciting program of jazz and poetry and drama, all in aid of the next summer's festival. The performers all give their services free, and if you feel moved to support us, please click on the donate button to make a small donation. We are a registered charity run by a small group of community volunteers, and your support is really helpful in kick-starting the next year's festivities. This year, of course, as we can't all gather together in the chapel, the Festive Jazz Cafe has gone virtual. So I'm afraid you'll have to provide your own mulled wine and mince pies. But we can provide a fantastic cast of musicians, poets, and actors all ready to entertain you. We have lined up the dream duo, a top-class jazz ensemble, Rebetiki Serenata with musicians from Greece, Ensemble Reza, a festival favourite, Romany poet Rain Gagan, and star actors Gareth Williams and Paula Tinker. But let's kick off with Ensemble Reza and family members giving a toe-tapping rendition of a Duke Ellington classic, followed by Katerina Clambaneva and the Vembo Project, taking us from Londra to Parisi to Athene. But first of all, let's go with It Don't Mean a Thing If It Ain't Got That Swing.
If it ain't got that swing, it don't mean a thing. If it ain't got that swing, it don't mean a thing. If it ain't got that swing, it don't mean a thing. If it ain't got that swing, it don't mean a thing. If it ain't got that swing, it don't mean a thing. If it ain't got that swing.
Wherever there are Greeks, there is Greece. Wherever I go, London, Paris or New York or Brighton, my mind travels back to Athens. Όπου κι αν πάω ο νους μου διαρκώς τριγυρνά μες στα στενά της Αθήνας και στα καπηλιά της και κάθε βράδυ τρικλίζοντας τα σκοτεινά λέει μεθυσμένη η ψυχή μου απ' τα γιάσεμιά της. Λόντρα, Παρίσι, Νεο Υόρκ, Βουδαπέστη, Βιέννη, προς την Αθήνα καμιά μα καμιά σας δεν βγαίνει, γιατί είναι πάντα γεμάτες με ρόδα υποδιέσεις κι άσπρες δαντέλες τυλίγουν τις ακρογιαλιές της. Έχει ομορφιές, χιλιάδες ζωγραφιές και στις ανηφοριές τις γραφικές της κάθε βραδιά κάτω από μια μουριά ο έρος ξενύχτα κλέφτα, κλέφτα. Σε κατοικούνε θεοί ξελόγια στη Ρωμαθήνα που κατεβαίνουν στην πλάκα να πιουνε ρετσίνα και σαρισμένοι το βράδυ κολόνα κολόνα να κοιμηθούνε πηγαίνουνε στο Παρθενώνα. Ο ημιτός λέει με κέφι στην πεντέρη, λέει ρετσίνα στο βαρέλι, λέει λιγανσίες στο φεγγάρι ερωτιάρες, λέει πλακιώτικες κιθάρες. Κέφι στην πεντέλη, λέει ρετσίνα στο βαρέλι, λέει λιγασία στο φεγγάρι ερωτιάρες, λέει πλακιώτικες κιθάρες.
That was the Vembo Project with Pavlos Carvalho on bouzouki and Katerina on vocals. So now we move from a steamy Athens night back to England for two seasonal poems. The first from our national poet William Shakespeare from Love's Labour's Lost. The second from Wessex bard, novelist and poet Thomas Hardy. Winter. When icicles hang by the wall, and Dick the shepherd blows his nail, and Tom bears logs into the hall, and milk comes home frozen in the pail. When blood is nipped and ways be foul, then nightly sings the staring owl, to wit, to woo, to wit, to woo, a merry note, while greasy Joan doth keel the pot. When all aloud the wind doth blow, and coughing drowns the parson's saw, and birds sit brooding in the snow, and Marian's nose looks red and raw. When roasted crabs hiss in the bowl, then nightly sings the staring owl, to woo, to wit, to woo, when icicles hang by the wall. The oxen. Christmas Eve and 12 of the clock. Now they are all on their knees, an elder said, as we sat in a flock by the embers in hearthside ease. We pictured the meek, mild creatures where they dwelt in their strawy pen, nor did it occur to one of us there to doubt they were kneeling then. So fair a fancy few would weave in these years. Yet I feel, if someone said on Christmas Eve, "Come, see the oxen kneel in the lonely barton by yonder coombe our childhood used to know," I should go with him in the gloom, hoping it might be so. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce the dream duo, top-class jazzers Julian Marc Stringle on clarinet and Dominic Ashworth on guitar. In 2019, they performed to a sold-out audience at Eads House for the festival's Poetry and Jazz Cafe. Julian and Dominic are tuned and ready to fly with Gershwin's masterpiece, Rhapsody in Blue. summary stuff from Julian Stringle and Dominic Ashworth. Both of these phenomenal players have figured in the National Jazz Awards. At this point, it is my pleasure to introduce our two distinguished actors, Gareth Williams and Paula Tinker. Gareth has performed at our festival on several occasions, and both he and Paula have featured at Chichester's Festival Theatre. Audiences may remember Paula at CFT in The Mitford Girls, Valmouth, Henry V, and Underneath the Arches. Gareth starred as Archbishop St. Thomas Becket in a production of T.S. Eliot's Murder in the Cathedral at Chichester Cathedral. He's also performed on stage and screen with the English Shakespeare Company in Mike Leigh's film of Peterloo and with Barbara Windsor in the West End show Guys and Dolls. And with the singing group The Flying Pickets, he had a #1 hit single with Only You. Gareth and Paula are ready to take us back to the dark streets of Dickensian London for A Christmas Carol. Miserly Ebenezer Scrooge is in his counting house on Christmas Eve when visitors call.
Once upon a time, of all the good days in the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house. It was cold, bleak, biting weather, foggy withal, and he could hear the people in the court outside go wheezing up and down, beating their hands upon their breasts and stamping their feet upon the pavement stones to warm them. The city clocks had only just gone 3, but it was quite dark already. It had not been light all day, and candles were flaring in the windows of the neighbouring offices like ruddy smears upon the palpable brown air. The fog came pouring in at every chink and keyhole, and was so dense without that although the court was of the narrowest, the houses opposite were mere phantoms. To see the dingy cloud come drooping down, obscuring everything, one might have thought that nature lived hard by and was brewing on a large scale. The door of Scrooge's counting house was open, that he might keep his eye upon his clerk, who in a dismal little cell beyond, a sort of tank, was copying letters. Scrooge had a very small fire, but the clerk's fire was so very much smaller that it looked like one coal. But he couldn't replenish it, for Scrooge kept the coal box in his own room, and so surely as the clerk came in with the shovel, the master predicted it would be necessary for them to part. Wherefore the clerk put on his white comforter and tried to warm himself at the candle, in which effort, not being a man of a strong imagination, he failed. "A Merry Christmas, Uncle! God save you!"
cried a cheerful voice. It was the voice of Scrooge's nephew, who came upon him so quickly that this was the first intimation he had of his approach. "Bah!" said Scrooge. "Humbug!" He had so heated himself with rapid walking in the fog and frost, this nephew of Scrooge's, that he was all in a glow. His face was ruddy and handsome, his eyes sparkled, and his breath smoked again.
"Christmas a humbug, Uncle? You don't mean that, I'm sure."
"I do. Merry Christmas! What right have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough."
"Come then, what right have you to be so dismal? What reason have you to be morose? You're rich enough."
Scrooge, having no better answer ready on the spur of the moment, said "Bah!" again, and followed it up with "Humbug!"
"Don't be cross, Uncle."
"What else can I be, when I live in such a world of fools as this? Merry Christmas! Out upon Merry Christmas! What's Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills without money, a time for finding yourself a year older but not an hour richer, A time for balancing your books and having every item in them through a round dozen of months presented dead against you. If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. He should.
Uncle!
Nephew, keep Christmas in your own way and let me keep it in mine.
Keep it? But you don't keep it.
Let me leave it alone then. Much good may it do you. Much good it has ever done you.
There are many things from which I might have derived good, by which I have not profited, I dare say. Christmas among the rest. But I am sure I have always thought of Christmas time, when it's come round, apart from the veneration due to its sacred name and origin, if anything belonging to it can be apart from that, as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time, the only time I know of, in the long calendar of the year, when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely, and to think of other people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave, and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe that it has done me good, and will do me good, and I say God bless it.
The clerk in the tank involuntarily applauded. Becoming immediately sensible of the impropriety, he poked the fire and extinguished the last frail spark forever. Let me hear another sound from you, and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation. You're quite a powerful speaker, sir. I wonder you don't go into Parliament.
Don't be angry, Uncle. Come, dine with us tomorrow.
Scrooge said that he would see him. Yes, indeed he did. He went the whole length of the expression and said that he would see him in that extremity first.
But why? Why?
Why did you get married?
Because I fell in love.
Because you fell in love. Good afternoon.
Nay, Uncle, but you never came to see me before that happened. Why give it as a reason for not coming now?
Good afternoon.
I want nothing from you. I ask nothing from you. Why cannot we be friends?
Good afternoon.
I am sorry with all my heart to find you so resolute. We have never had any quarrel to which I have been a party, but I have made the trial in homage to Christmas, and I'll keep my Christmas humour to the last. So a Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year.
Good afternoon. His nephew left the room without an angry word notwithstanding. He stopped at the outer door to bestow the greetings of the season on the clerk, who, cold as he was warmer than Scrooge, for he returned them cordially. There's another fellow, my clerk, with 15 shillings a week and a wife and family, talking about a Merry Christmas. I'll retire to Bedlam. This lunatic, in letting Scrooge's nephew out, had let 2 other people in. They were portly gentlemen, pleasant to behold, and now stood with their hats off in Scrooge's office. They had books and papers in their hands and bowed to him.
Scrooge and Marley's, I believe. Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Mr. Marley has been dead these 7 years. He died 7 years ago, this very night.
We have no doubt his liberality is well represented by his surviving partner.
It certainly was, for they had been 2 kindred spirits. At the ominous word liberality, Scrooge frowned and shook his head and handed the credentials back.
At this festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than usually desirable that we should make some slight provision for the poor and destitute, who suffer greatly at the present time. Many thousands are in want of common necessaries. Hundreds of thousands are in want of common comforts, sir.
Are there no prisons?
Plenty of prisons.
And the union workhouses, are they still in operation?
They are. Still. I wish I could say they were not.
The treadmill and the poor law are in full vigour, then?
Both very busy, sir.
Oh, I was afraid from what you said at first that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course. I'm very glad to hear it.
Under the impression that they scarcely furnish Christian cheer of mind or body to the multitude, a few of us are endeavouring to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. We choose this time because it is the time of all others when want is keenly felt and abundance rejoices. What shall I put you down for?
Nothing.
You wish to be anonymous?
I wish to be left alone. Since you asked me what I wish, gentlemen, that is my answer. I don't make merry myself at Christmas, and I can't afford to make idle people merry. I help to support the establishments I have mentioned. They cost enough, and those who are badly off must go there.
Many can't go there, and many would rather die.
If they would rather die, they'd better do it and decrease the surplus population.
Thank you, Gareth and Paula. They will be back later in the show to tell you what happened next. From Dickensian London to a cafe in Spain, let's join Rebetiki's Serenata performing underground urban style of music which arose in 1920s Greece. It's something akin to the blues, to tango and fado. It includes elements of jazz, swing and Latin music. It's time to be entertained by Rebetiki Serenata.
Magria, σε χίλιες δυο το έχω διαλέξει. Και κοίταξε κορμάκι, στιχώς περιστεράκι, μέσα σε χίλιες δυο το έχω διαλέξει. Και μια ματιά που σφάζει, και κοίταξε αδερφέ μου ένα μάτι. Φυλάκι σαν γαϊτάνι, που βήμα τι σε κάνει, μάτια μπροστά ευχές είναι γεμάτη. Φυλάκι σαν γαϊτάνι, που βήμα τι σε κάνει, μάτια μπροστά ευχές είναι γεμάτη. Έχω στο κορίτσι οξοπέσει. Είδες τις χίλιες πρώτη, γερώτα και το γιώτη, χωρίς με το λαχείο μου έχει πέσει. Είδες τις χίλιες πρώτη, γερώτα και το γιώτη, χωρίς με το λαχείο μου έχει πέσει.
From the gypsy jazz sounds of Rebetiki Serenata with Kalliopi on vocals and Pavlos on bouzouki, we now turn to our guest writer, Rain Gagan. Rain is of Romani descent, and she's been creating quite a stir in the poetry world, nominated for the Pushcart and Forward Awards with her poems of Romani life.
Hello. I'm really thrilled to be taking part in the Festive Jazz and Poetry, and thank you, Barry, for inviting me. I'm going to be reading from my two pamphlets, Applewater Povel Pani and Baylit Fires Lenti Hacho Yog. Now, these are based on Romani stories, real life stories of my family. And I'm going to be ending the reading with some new poems based on Saint Sara Kali, the gypsy patron saint. My first poem is called A Memory of the Hop Fields, and it's based on my granny. She is in the front garden, bending low, picking bluebells, wearing her old red apron with the Spanish dancer on the front. She stands up, rubbing her lower back, her mind shaping a memory. The hop fields, her mother, lean, strong, picking the hops as quick as a squirrel. Her balin plaits tied on top of her head, her gold hoops pulling her ears down, ruddy cheeks, dry cracked lips. Her father pulling poles, sweating, smiling, his gold tooth for all to see. At the end of a long day, she would stand on top of an apple crate, comb his hair, kiss his neck, tasting of salt. He would pick her up, swing her high, low, and say, "You're the prettiest little child there ever was." The next poem is based on a story about Aunt Zaffarella, who was a fortune teller. It's called The Gypsy Gift. Do you know someone who's got the gift? I do, my Aunt Zaffarella. She was born with it and she knows everything. When she wakes up, she knows what the weather's going to be like and who's going to be popping in for tea. She'll say, "Put the kettle on, Mum, our Evie's coming over." My gran rolls her eyes and says, "Who'd have thought of that, my child with the gypsy gift?" Once a week, she earns a few bob reading tea leaves. She calls it dukkering. She makes the tea, sets the china cups on the table, puts bright red lipstick on and waits for her first customer. She don't know it, but I've often sat under the table holding me legs tight and listening. She puts on a posh voice and speaks very slowly and softly, and I have a job to keep quiet. She tells the folkie all sorts of things, like the type of mush they're going to marry or how many kids they'll have. Once she told a woman that she was going to come into a lot of money, and the old dear jumped up and started running around the room shouting, I knew it, me luck's going to change." At night when I'm in bed, I hear her making strange sounds, as if she's speaking in a foreign language or perhaps stuck down a drain pipe. I hear Granny calling out, "Go to sleep, Zaffarella, for crying out loud." In the morning I says to her, "You don't half make some funny sounds in your sleep, Aunt Zaffarella." She puts a cup of mesky down and says, "Oh, that's me speaking in tongues. It comes on me now and again and I have to eat it." Well, me gran and me, we look at her and say, "Dawdy, Dawdy, that's the gypsy gift for you." And you will probably be recognising some of the Romany words. Dukkering is fortune telling, mush is man, mesky is tea, and dawdy dawdy is oh dear, oh dear. The next poem is a short one, and it's really in honour of all the gypsies who wear gold. And this is based on my great aunt Raya. Aunt Raya's Gypsy Gold. Sovereigns and gold chains hanging from her neck and wrists, rings through ears on fingers. At night she places them in an embroidered bag, slips it under the mattress. She sleeps soundly as the gold warms itself, longing for her soft skin and light. The next poem doesn't really need an introduction, but the title of the poem was taken from Poems 1916 by Edward Thomas, and it's called Dark is the Forest. Dark is the forest and deep, in times gone past it's where we'd sleep. Under the oaks or the hawthorn tree, drop our covels, our minds roam free. Dark is the forest and deep, for dukkering our malts will keep a small gold ring tied with string around their wrist or in their fist. Dark is the forest and deep, where foxgloves grow and deer do leap. Our plans are spun and boar will run. We take our time, we have some fun. Dark is the forest and deep, we pass by patrons for those who seek to keep in touch with folk that are dear and pass on news of birth and fear. Dark is the forest and deep. And I'm going to read a sequence of poems based on Saint Sara Kali, who is the gypsy patron saint. What I've done with Saint Sara Kali is really reimagine her and bring her back to life. So these poems are in different settings. The first one is Her Names Are Many. Look, there she goes, dressed in her finery for a gypsy Roma. Black leather boots, long purple dress, gold around her neck and a feather in her hat. She'll mingle with the guests, drink wine until she's skimmished. She'll hitch her skirts up, dance like the young ones. Just before she leaves, she'll give order and sing a song that nobody knows but everyone loves. And then she'll disappear into the shadows, into the dust that rolls along the empty streets and never settles. And the next poem is called Know My True Face. I'm a lot older than you think. Look closely, see the dust in me eyes, the river in me veins. Look at these hands, they carry the weight of the world yet never grow tired. Man made me into a saint, but my life belongs to my race and the days gone past. A time when religion was found in the clay, in mountains and forests, in the song of the wind and at a mother's breast. The grains of truth have scattered far, but are found wherever we tread. So keep moving, know that I'm your mother, sister, midwife and the puri die. Come to me and know my pure, true face. And the puri die means the source of all Romany blood. The next one is called The One. It's a very, very short piece. She is the one walking the long road, the one stepping out of the rock, the one being washed in the sea. Standing on the shore, she opens her arms and bow down, and the horses bow down their heads. So I just got a couple more to do, and this one is called Old Sarah. She often visits the nearby Vardos, sits in the corner, surrounded by pictures of herself. On the walls, brass ornaments hang on red velvet ribbons. Dried flowers are stacked in glass jars. Sometimes a young un will look at her, only to run away when she coughs into her handkerchief. She loves the smell of oranges, a fruit she never knew when growing up. She likes to watch the family sit around the table, eating their supper, talking and singing. Oh, how she loves the singing. And if someone plays the fiddle, she'll bounce for joy in the armchair, wiggling her stocking feet. Before she leaves, she blesses the family, scatters salt and whispers, "May the mother protect you." Her home is the wind, the forest, the hills, the wild landscape. She sleeps anywhere, goes wherever she pleases. She is old, so old, but she won't ever rest. And I'm going to finish with a sort of almost like a song, really. In my family, my grandfather used to play the spoons, but in many families they played the bones and the spoons. So this is called Bones and Spoons. Before I played the spoons, I played the bones. Before I played the bones, I listened to me father playing the spoons, to me grandad playing the bones. And as I tell you this, me son is listening. The bones they are awaiting, and the spoons, well, they're in the kitchen drawer. Thank you for listening. Merry Christmas, take care, keep well. Bye for now.
Many thanks to Rain Gagan for her poetic insights into gypsy life. Rain's books are available from Hedgehog Press. At this point, a word about our festival. This year we had to cancel all the fantastic events we had lined up for the city, from large-scale concerts in the cathedral, exhibitions at the galleries, to the book talks, walks and tours, gigs and shows, plays and fetes. But we're planning to return in style in 2021, mid-June and mid-July, with an even bigger and better program. If you'd like to help, please donate. Now, Julian, Marc, Stringle and Dominic Ashworth are ready for 2 more numbers, with Julian on vocals for Embraceable You, followed by his own composition, A Song for Claude.
Embrace me, my sweet
sweet embraceable you. Embrace me, you irreplaceable you. Just one look at you, my heart grows tipsy in me. You and you alone bring out the gypsy in me. I love all the many charms about you. Above all, I want my arms about you. Don't be a naughty baby, come to Papa do. My sweet embraceable you. I love all the many charms about you. Above all, I want my arms about you. Don't be a naughty baby, come to Papa do. My sweet embraceable you.
the fantastic sounds of the Dream Duo. Many thanks to Julian and Dominic for supporting this year's Festival of Chichester. Now it's time to introduce Katie Bennett, comedy performer and videographer, who is responsible for putting together the video of the Festive Jazz Cafe. Katie and I are now taking you into the world of the spirits before we cross the boundaries of space and time to rejoin Gareth Williams and Paula Tinker by the fireside with the concluding part of Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol. The Spirits of Christmas.
On Christmas Eve, the apparition of Ebenezer Scrooge's dead partner, Jacob Marley, appears to Scrooge with a dire warning.
I wore the chain I forged in life, moaned the ghost of Jacob Marley. I made it link by link and yard by yard. I girded it of my own free will, and of my own free will I wore it. This night you will be haunted by 3 spirits.
The spectre joined in mournful dirge and floated out upon the bleak, dark night. Scrooge followed to the window, desperate in his curiosity. He looked out.
The air was filled with phantoms, wandering hither and thither in restless haste, and moaning as they went. Every one of them wore chains like Marley's ghost.
Who and what are you? Scrooge demanded.
I am the ghost of Christmas past, said the first.
I am the ghost of Christmas present, said the second spirit. Look upon me.
The third phantom slowly, gravely, silently approached.
Am I in the presence of the ghost of Christmas yet to come? Said Scrooge.
The spirit answered not, but pointed onward with his hand.
Yes, and the bedpost was his own. The bed was his own. The room was his own. Best and happiest of all, the time before him was his own to make amends in.
I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all 3 shall strive within me. Oh, Jacob Marley, heaven and the Christmas time be praised for this. I say it on my knees, oh Jacob, on my knees.
He was so fluttered and so glowing with his good intentions that his broken voice would scarcely answer to his call. He had been sobbing violently in his conflict with the spirit, and his face was wet with tears.
They're not torn down,
cried Scrooge, folding one of his bed curtains in his arms.
They are not torn down, rings and all. They're here. I am here. The shadows of the things that would have been may be dispelled. They will be. I know they will.
His hands were busy with his garments all this time, turning them inside out, pushing them on upside down, tearing them, mislaying them, making them parties to every kind of extravagance.
I don't know what to do,
cried Scrooge, laughing and crying in the same breath.
I'm as light as a feather. I'm as happy as an angel. I'm as merry as a schoolboy. I'm as giddy as a drunken man. A Merry Christmas to everybody. A Happy New Year to all the world. Hello there! Whoop! Hello!
He had frisked into the sitting room and was now standing there, perfectly winded.
There's the door by which the ghost of Jacob Marley entered. There's the corner where the ghost of Christmas present sat. There's the window where I saw the wandering spirits. It's all right. It's all true. It all happened.
Really, for a man who'd been out of practice for so many years, it was a splendid laugh, a most illustrious laugh, the father of a long, long line of brilliant laughs.
I don't know what day of the month it is. I don't know how long I've been among the spirits. I don't know anything. I'm quite a baby. Never mind, I don't care. I'd rather be a baby. Hello, whoop, hello here.
He was checked in his transports by the churches ringing out the lustiest peals he had ever heard. Clash, clang, hammer, ding-dong bell. Oh, glorious, glorious. Running to the window, he opened it and put out his head. No fog, no mist. Clear, bright, jovial, stirring, cold, cold, piping for the blood to dance to. Golden sunlight, heavenly skies, sweet fresh air, merry bells. Oh, glorious, glorious.
What's today?
Cried Scrooge, calling downward to a boy in Sunday clothes who perhaps had loitered in to look about him. Eh?
What's today, my fine fellow?
Today? Why, it's Christmas Day.
It's Christmas Day. I haven't missed it. The spirits have done it all in one night. They can do anything they like. Of course they can. Of course they can. Hello, my fine fellow.
Hello?
Do you know the poulterers in the next street but one at the corner?
I should hope I did.
An intelligent boy, a remarkable boy. Do you know whether they've sold the prize turkey that was hanging up there? Not the little prize turkey, the big one.
What? The one as big as me?
What a delightful boy. It's a pleasure to talk to him. Yes, my buck.
It's hanging there now.
Is it? Go and buy it, and tell them to bring it here, that I may give them the direction where to take it. Come back with the man, and I'll give you a shilling. Come back with him in less than 5 minutes, and I'll give you half a crown.
The boy was off like a shot.
I'll send it to Bob Cratchit's. He shan't know who sends it. It's twice the size of Tiny Jim.
The hand in which he wrote the address was not a steady one, but write it he did, somehow, and went downstairs to open the street door, ready for the coming of the poulterer's man.
Here's the turkey. Hello, whoop. How are you? Merry Christmas.
It was a turkey. He never could have stood upon his legs, that bird. He would have snapped 'em short off in a minute, like sticks of sealing wax.
Why, it's impossible to carry that to Camden Town. You must have a cab.
The chuckle with which he said this, and the chuckle with which he paid for the turkey, and the chuckle in which he paid for the cab, and the chuckle with which he recompensed the boy, were only to be exceeded by the chuckle with which he sat down breathless in his chair again, and chuckled till he cried.
What a tale for our times. In this year of pandemic and lockdown, we've all learned to look again at our lives, celebrate community and togetherness, and perhaps resolve to do things a bit better in a new way next year. Many thanks to Paula and Gareth. Rebetiki Serenata are waiting in the wings to resume their entertainment.
Το βράδυ σαν νυχτώσει την πιο καλή ωρίτσα, τραβάνε το κατήφορο τα όμορφα κορίτσια. Τη γυναικομάνη, γύρω γύρω στο λιμάνι. Τη γυναικομάνη, κάτω στο βασαλιμάνι. Βρίσκουνε τα γόρια τους και πίνουνε απ' όλα, ύστερα ποτήρια σπάνε και στη Φρεατίδα πάνε. Μάρκα εδώ έλα βαρκάρι, πάμε τσάρκα σε φεγγάρι. Κρατάει τιμόνι, η άλλη να νουρίζεται, τραβάει κουπί και λιώνει. Για μόλα, για λέσα, στο πασά λιμάνι μέσα. Για μόλα, για λέσα, στο πασά λιμάνι μέσα.
ψαροπούλα κάτω στην ακρογιαλιά και θα φύγουμε τα δυο μας για να πάμε μακριά. Θα μας πάρει ψαροπούλα κάτω στην ακρογιαλιά και θα φύγουμε τα δυο μας για να πάμε μακριά.
"'Twas the night before Christmas.
By Clement Clark Moore.
'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mamma in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled down for a long winter's nap.
When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the lustre of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eye should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, with a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name.
Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donna and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky, so up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof, as I drew in my hand and was turning around. Down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound.
He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke, it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly.
He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk and laying his finger aside of his nose and giving a nod. Up the chimney he rose.
He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight,
Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Well, we've almost reached the end of our festive journey. The mince pies have all been eaten and the mulled wine drunk. Next year, we intend to be back live in lovely St. John's Chapel for the Festive Jazz Cafe 2021. All that remains now is to thank our wonderful performers, Ensemble Reza, the Vembo Project, Rebetiki Serenata, Gareth Williams, Paula Tinker, Rain Gagan, Dominic Ashworth, and Julian Marc Stringle. Thanks to the committee of the festival and to Stephen Riley of the Friends of St. John's Chapel. And thanks to you, the audience, for joining us at the Festive Jazz Cafe as the Dream Duo play us out with We'll Gather Lilacs.
We'll gather lilac in the spring again and walk together down an English lane until our hearts have learned to sing again. When you come home once more, and in the evening by the firelight's glow, you'll hold me close and never let me go. Your eyes will tell me all I want to know. When you come home once more. And in the evening by the firelight's glow, you'll hold me close and never let me go. Your eyes will tell me all I want to know. When you come home once more.
The Festival of Chichester wishes you a very happy Christmas and all the best for the coming year.
Thank you.